Hi, if you're new here, my name is Erin Moriarty, and I used to do primarily Sims content. I think it's pretty clear by now that I have lost interest in making Sims content. There are many reasons for this, but here are a few of the biggest. The Sims team is very slow to adjust to the changing needs of their audience. That's one thing when I'm just a player, but when I'm centering the entirety of my content creation, my digital presence on that game, it's not confidence inspiring at all. In fact, it makes me wish I diversified my earlier content. Second, the community has been evolving in a way that is very reactionary, in which you're either an EA shill or you're a hater with no nuance, and I exist in a place of infinite nuance. Finally, honestly, I was using The Sims as a shield to sort of prevent myself from making content that felt more deeply personal and more deeply meaningful. And because I didn't have the confidence to make content that was centered on myself. I know a lot of my followers are smaller content creators, and my biggest advice to you is to ensure that you're diversifying so you don't end up feeling creatively locked to something you have a loving but complicated relationship with. Sims viewers primarily want Sims content, and there's a fairly large attrition when you change. It's a risk I didn't fully realize starting out. I assumed people would like me for me and would support me in whatever game I played because that's how I consume content. With that said, I understand that a lot of people have only been subscribed to me for Sims content, and if you want to unsubscribe, sayonara, I'm sorry to see you go, but I understand. However, if you are interested in me personally, or you want to see the content that I have upcoming, this video serves a couple of purposes. First, to give an update on my life, which will provide a springboard upon which to jumpstart my new content. Second, to give some perspective on the ordinary struggles of a disabled person. And third, to set audience expectations and to get feedback on what sort of things that you might want to see out of me. Last year, I was just barely getting by. I basically had enough energy to do my job, and then I just slept the rest of the time. I could barely take care of my birds. I couldn't take care of myself. In October or November, I started having a ton of other medical issues, the biggest of which being lack of sensation in my hands, clumsiness, and memory fog. I've had a lot of other issues that I was putting off getting checked because of the pandemic. My mother and I are both high risk, and nothing was bad enough for me to risk going to the doctor at the time. So I basically pushed myself to the absolute breaking point, into where I had a ton of things wrong with me that I had to go to a bunch of different doctors for. I've been fighting with my own health and with insurance companies ever since, and I genuinely do not believe that I will ever be able to do my career again. I know there are going to be some people that get snide with me and say that I have no right to feel bad because at least I did get to have a job I genuinely loved for a time. But I fought so hard to keep that job, and now I don't know what my life is. I spent years detangling my sense of self-worth from capitalistic notions of value, but it's an ongoing process and one that's made difficult by people around you. As a disabled person, there's a definite difference in how people perceive you when you're gainfully employed versus when you've given up or taken the easy route to stop working. This isn't an easy route. This is one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, and the ironic thing is that I don't even get to make it on my own. I have some money, but also I'm a very expensive human to keep alive. I'm hoping one day that content creation can help with that. By virtue of limiting my available resources, disability has forced me to be a more thoughtful creator of content. Gone are the days when I throw videos and podcasts into the void, hoping to trick an algorithm into acknowledging my existence. To that end, I've been doing some amazing work that I'm really proud of with my friends over at Monster Media. Most recently, I've been covering the show Loki in a series Loki After Dark with my friend Seth. There'll be a link to that down below. As for this channel, that's a bit of a harder subject, actually, and one that's likely going to involve some experimentation on my end. I do want to make some lifestyle content, but that's a difficult subject to navigate. Categorizing my brand of lifestyle is difficult. I'm not minimal, simple, sustainable, self-sufficient, or any of the buzzwords that make algorithms happy. Many aspects of my life could be described by those words, but many more could be described by the opposite. I believe in mindfully doing things to the fullest and thoughtfully observing the people, nature, creatures around me. From there, I am compelled to create and to consume art. The moment my creative voice is silenced, though, it's almost like I'm smothered as a human being. It's though all joy has been drained from my life. Disability has changed the way I view creativity and artistic passion. No more am I striving to master one art, but rather I endeavor to embrace whatever creative passion is most accessible to me. When I'm flat on my back, I create podcasts. When my energy is low, I lay in the yard and capture images of the local wildlife. My true passion has always been video, and my bankable skill was writing. For too long, I've tried to decide how to center this channel on one aspect of my person or being. I've tried to figure out how to please an algorithm that only wants the one thing I can't deliver, consistency. And in doing that, I have lost love for the only thing I've ever truly found peace in doing, making videos. Another concern I often have, if I put myself on camera as much as I would like to, my physical limitations are going to be on display for the world to see. There have been many parts of myself that I've kept off this channel because I knew they'd limit my success. My disability, my neurodivergence, my queerness. Also, aspects of my being that YouTube would have me censor lest their algorithm do it for me. And then there are the so-called internet investigators who spring up around any content creator who's public about their disability. People who are so hell-bent on rooting out scammers that they traumatize legitimate disabled people. It's bad enough that the disabled people will get passed from doctor to doctor, failing to get answers. We often have PTSD from the trauma of medical disbelief. Then we try to find a community for ourselves where we can have some agency and work to earn money, and all of a sudden we're fakers? Yet if we were on our backs, bedbound, doing nothing, they'd consider us lazy. In the eyes of many on the internet, the only thing disabled people could do right is cease existing. But my disability, and in fact all of the things that marginalize me, are important aspects of my being, and trying to omit them from the content I create results in this weird creative dissonance I cannot tolerate. These things that make me different are an important part of what makes my creative voice unique. I have learned a lot in my life, and I can use that knowledge to inform and entertain others. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't have one set plan for this channel other than for it to be a more authentic representation of myself. So, to that end, I do have a couple of video concepts in mind that I'm going to mention, both to solicit interest and to try and hold myself to actually creating them. A few concepts I'd like to throw out into the wind. I'm presently working on a script for a video on the Deep Space Nine episode Melora from a disabled perspective. That's one of my favorite episodes of Deep Space Nine for a lot of reasons. I'd like to do a video on how TikTok has helped me with my neurodivergency more than any of my psychiatrists ever have. I adore the 1998 Merlin miniseries, and I'd love to do a video on how it's ahead of its time, and why I believe that if your movie isn't good on the small screen, that it isn't a good movie. That's something that's come up in the news a fair few times recently. If any of that type of content interests you, or if anything about me interests you, I guess, if you'd like to stick around, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because that'll help me get into the blessed algorithm, and have a wonderful day.